Since 1997, the Gay Straight Alliance has been a club at Masco for all members and all allies of the LGBTQ community. The GSA does not only impact the small group that shows up to the meetings. The club has made its impact on Masco by spreading awareness about the expanding LGBTQ community.
Through GSA, I learned so much about myself and different terms that I had never even heard of, such as pansexual, which I now identify as, and gender fluid, which I now identify as well.
GSA meetings are a place for individuals to share their personal trials and triumphs. It is a responsibility of the GSA officials and advisor Shannon Murphy to make sure the meetings are completely judgment-free.
What is your role as a supervisor?
I view my role as obviously creating a safe space, connecting with faculty to make sure that we're creating a warm, inclusive environment on that level, helping leaders lead, and finding out what students have as the vision of the club each year and trying to help them figure out what needs to happen to make those goals reality.
Okay, so what we do in check-in is we say one good thing that happened in everyone's week, one bad thing that happened in everyone's week, and one thing that we are looking forward to. We also sometimes eat food, and we mention, or we say, state our names, grades, and preferred pronouns.
GSA is also notorious for discussing progressive topics. GSA officials often organize presentations about unfamiliar or controversial topics and then lead a discussion afterwards.
Okay, so what is it? It's the idea that being heterosexual is the norm and that everyone who does not fit into that ideal is different. It is also the assumption that everyone is heterosexual unless otherwise stated. Okay, do you guys have any questions before we start the video? Because the video's kind of long.
Why is this
I
guy
want it to
blue?
be short.
It's kind of on topic but kind of off topic. Like something that annoys me is that people also erase like bisexuality. Like I know in Friends, which is like I know older, but like when Ross's wife starts getting interested in a woman, everyone says, "Oh, she's gay now," and I'm like, she could be bisexual. Like, don't erase the bisexuality just because now she's interested in this specific woman. And that got on my nerves.
Yeah, so I remember some of our more recent topics. Today we talked about heteronormativity. In the past we've talked about asexuality, bisexuality, like erasure of bisexuality. What else did we talk about?
We've talked about differences between sex and gender.
We also talked about gender norms.
And ways of raising awareness.
When things are happening in the news, often somebody will bring a BuzzFeed video to the table. We talked a lot about same-sex marriage. We've talked about gender identity. We did like a basic Trans 101.
The big topics discussed in GSA this year are the expanding spectrums of gender identity and sexual identity.
Gender binary is the idea that there are only two genders, male and female.
There's the gender binary. There's stereotypically male and female, but what people don't recognize is there's a whole spectrum in between.
So, one year during Ally Week about 4 years ago, we were thinking about ways to kind of raise awareness around gender as a spectrum as opposed to gender as a binary, and somebody suggested we should have a cross-dressing day as one of the spirit days. And I thought it was a really good learning experience, not for the school so much as for GSA as a club to kind of talk about gender as performance versus gender as identity, and
I like the positive light on that, how you kind of like separate it from like binaries and also like performance versus just.
right. I mean, there's such fascinating conversations you can have
Because
about
there's a lot
gender
of
identity.
perspectives you can take it.
We speak about gender identity like it's something that only transgender people have to think about, and that's not true. And it's and even doing things that are beyond the gender binary, that's not just something that transgender people do, or gender fluid people, or non-conforming people. As a woman who does not shave her legs, I am beyond the binary in that way.
I like how you in the club see it as an exposure.
Yeah.
That is educational. for the
Right.
clubs.
And sexual identity is what your preferences are in terms of who you are attracted to, which straight, gay, bisexual, pansexual, and there's also like a whole spectrum of things that aren't necessarily shown in media.
What are the misconceptions about asexuality?
That you never want to have sex, that you are sex repulsed, that you can't reproduce, that you can self-reproduce.
Pansexuals are not attracted to pans. That's an ongoing joke, but it just means attracted to all different types of gender identities. Pansexuality and bisexuality, I think bisexuality is a tighter term for the word, because I don't really know anybody that would just be like, I'm not gonna date you because you are not stereotypically male or female.
GSA has bettered Masconomic's environment by spreading awareness about the expanding LGBT community. GSA thrives in the Masconomic community, serving as an education resource as well as a support system for all.